Hi, and welcome to the Food Allergy Magic Podcast, where our goal is to inspire and help you travel the world with food allergies. Hi, I'm Lizzie Reynolds. I go by Pixie Lizzie on Facebook, and I'm a magical food allergy travel agent.
Hi, I'm Charity. I'm an agent with Platinum Mouse. I'm also a physician assistant in allergy and immunology, and a mom of 3 children, all with different food allergies.
And I'm Kelly. I am a Disney loving allergist immunologist who's also a travel agent with Platinum Mouse.
Hi, and welcome to today's podcast. We're going to talk about all things about the treasure. We were invited by Disney to do a pre-inaugural cruise. I took two of my top agents with Charity and Kelly, who also do the podcast with me. And we had a fantastic, wonderful time. Thanks again, Disney. And we're going to deep dive into it right now.
All right, I'm so excited about this episode about our pre-inaugural cruise on the Treasure. We intended to do this right when we got back, but we all hit the ground running. I know Kelly and Lizzie went on other cruises. We had travel, so we're finally catching up. We're going to go ahead and do a mailbag and a news section regarding Disney Cruise Line before we get into the episode that is long overdue for everyone. But our mailbag question has to do with the Treasure. And this is saying, I want to go on the Treasure, but the only cruises offered right now are 7-night sailings. Is that too long? So this person's concerned that a 7-night sailing might be too long. Kelly and Lizzie, can I get your thoughts on this?
I think it's almost not long enough. There's so much to do on that ship. On every Disney cruise ship, there's so many activities. Even on a weeks long sailing, you absolutely won't run out of anything to do. There's Broadway quality shows, the pools, the spas, trivia, game shows, all of the great ports, a stop at Castaway Key. So I think that 7 days will be full of plenty of fun and no one will get bored.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And I try to, when someone comes to me, they want to try a Disney cruise out for the first time. A lot of times they gravitate towards that 3-night cruise. The problem with the 3-night cruise is that you get on in the afternoon. You have dinner, you get to know your dining rotation and your servers, and then you do it again the next night, and then one more night, and then you're gone. It's like you're on the ship and then you're off. I always hear that from everybody. It wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough. So I think if it's your first cruise and you're really nervous, maybe you have food allergies or you're nervous about getting seasick and you want to do a shorter cruise, I would highly recommend a 4 or a 5 night.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I recommend the same to my clients. I did one 3 night cruise kind of as a test, and I felt so rushed. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned, you get on in the afternoon, you unpack, and then the second night you can relax. But then on night three, you're already packing back up. So I don't think after all of the planning and flying there and getting ready, that 3 nights is really worth it. And I think that 4 to 5 is great for a starter cruise if you're unsure. But I think 7 is great for a starter cruise as well.
Marty,
Yeah.
you've been like on a 16-night cruise, haven't you? Like a
Yeah,
back
well,
to back.
this summer we did a 7-night and a 9-night back to back to build a 16-night cruise, and I thought that was perfect. And we were not tired of it either. I mean, it was amazing. Even with some of the same shows and such, some were different, some of the variety shows and such, but we did not get tired of that ship. We didn't get tired of anything, and there was still more to do and more to explore. So
That's
yes, I
fantastic.
can I can vouch for the fact that 16 nights was still not too long. So
And I've been able to spend 10 nights on the Treasure so far, and there's still things that I didn't get to do. So,
yeah, that's right. So you did our 3-night and then went back with your family for 7 nights. So we'll actually get to that. And I'm excited that you were able to go back and see things that we weren't able to explore. Even the three of us, we divided and conquered that ship and we tried our best and we still didn't get to all of it. So I'm glad that you did get to go back shortly after. And so we'll hear all about that soon. In Disney Cruise Line news, gratuities per person per night and regular staterooms have gone up from $14.50 per person per night to $16, and then in concierge, it's gone up from $23.50 to $27.25 per person per night. So just be aware of that change, and then you can always add extra when you're on board for those people that take amazing care of you. So just be aware of that, and you can talk to your travel advisor about that if you have any questions or how that's taken care of either ahead of your cruise or while you're on board, how that gets charged to your account. there's a new class of ships coming out on Disney Cruise Line, which is really exciting. So it's going to be three ships coming out over the next few years. They're going to be about 20% larger than the small ships, the Magic and the Wonder, but smaller than the Dream and the Fantasy. So they'll be able to go into some of the smaller ports, like in Norway and some of those areas. So it's going to allow a little bit more flexibility as far as where Disney Cruise Line can access. And then it's also going to be more environmentally friendly as far as the fuels that they use and such. So some of these ports have different restrictions. And so it's going to just keep Disney Cruise Line able to access these areas. So we're really excited about that. So stay tuned for more information as that becomes available to us. So we're excited about that. And also in Disney Cruise news, Disney's Dine and Play, which they had pre-COVID, has come back. And so what this offers is, I know Kelly, you experienced this in the past and took advantage of this. This is really nice. So how this works is for families taking advantage of the later dining on Disney Cruise Line, which is nice because you can relax more during your day and kind of have a slower pace. Go to the shows. They offer all the main shows at an earlier time, and then you go to the later dining. Some of the younger kids might not last through that later dining. So you let your servers know that you want to take advantage of this. So they'll have the younger children's food available right when you show up at that 8:15, 8:30 time dining. They'll feed the small children quickly. Folks from the kids club will come up to the dining rooms. You'll meet them at the front around 9 o'clock. Get your kids checked in at the dining room. They'll take them to the kids clubs, and then you can go back and enjoy your meal at a leisurely pace. So this is really fantastic. And then after your meal, you can head off to the lounges, to the bars, to the adult entertainment, and just enjoy your night. So that's really fantastic. So I know a lot of families are very excited, and that is essentially effective immediately. That rolled out February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd across the fleet. So that's really great that that has come back. And I know a lot of families like to take advantage of that. So I think that's it for Disney Cruise news right now. And we're ready to dive well into all things treasure. So, Kelly, do you want to kind of guide us through this?
Yep. So we're going to start with our first impressions of the treasure and its decor. Those of you who've sailed with Disney Cruise Line before know as you walk into the atrium or grand hall, it's always a great experience and it's such a vast, beautiful space. But I was blown away when I walked onto the treasure. It is so beautiful with this rich jewel tone palette and so
Mhm.
many details in that grand hall. There's mosaics everywhere. I've been on the Wish a few times before, and the Wish is beautiful. It's the same size space, but it just feels more grand and beautiful to me. And I was so happy to be there.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
agree with you. I knew that I would like the treasure. I mean, I had seen pictures. I knew that it would be pretty. I knew I'd be impressed. I knew it would be nice, but exactly, I was blown away. It was breathtaking. And I guess I didn't know if maybe it might feel a little bit dark or that type of thing, but it was just spectacular. It
The
was
photos of
elegant.
it, the preview photos were dark. It
I
wasn't
agree.
it wasn't anything like the preview photos.
But it was bright, like, it was very bright, it was light, everything was jewel toned, it was spectacular, and, um and it almost made you feel like you were in the castle or in Arabia, and I agree with the mosaics that were all around and just all of the art and the colors. It
Yeah.
was just fabulous. It
The
was
lighting was spectacular.
yeah,
Whoever did the lighting on
it
that
was
grand hall.
breathtaking. It
Yeah,
was really
really.
breathtaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chandeliers on all the ships are great, but I think that chandelier is my favorite. And there's small chandeliers around the big central one, and each of them represent all of the other Disney Cruise Line ships. And if you look really closely, you'll see the characters from the atrium statue from each of the other ships on the smaller chandeliers around the central one. And that
Yeah.
is breathtaking. It changes colors. It's just really beautiful.
Mhm.
So, a big part of any cruise is dining and food. And this is another area where I think the treasure knocked it out of the park. For those of you who've sailed on Disney Cruise Line, you'll be familiar, but in case you haven't, Disney Cruise Line for dinners offers what's called rotational dining. So there's three main dining rooms, and every night you'll rotate what dining room you're in. If you repeat a restaurant, though, the menu will still be different. So there's no menu repeats, but your serving team will follow you. And this is great for everybody, but especially great for those of you with food allergies. You'll meet your server once and explain all of your dietary needs and preferences, and then they'll know that for the rest of the ship. So they'll follow you around. And the Disney Treasure has three main dining rooms. Two of them overlap with the Wish. So there's 1923, and then the Worlds of Marvel. And there's a unique restaurant called the Plaza de Coco. And this is a exquisite, beautiful, super well themed venue with delicious food. And I think maybe Lizzie's favorite restaurant in all of Disney Cruise Line, except Palo, she said. Why don't you tell us what you think about Plaza de Coco?
I was blown away. I've sailed probably over 35 times on Disney Cruise Line, and so I really know the restaurants really well. Um, and this restaurant was nothing like the Disney's ever done before. It was like they've done dinner shows before, but they had these mariachis that they handpicked. They went to, I believe, Santa Fe, Chicago, maybe Boston, and found these handpicked these the mariachi band. There's three of them. They were fantastic. That alone, and then they had those authentic dancers that did all the Mexican dancings with the beautiful dresses on. And they had the ofrenda that was placed on there, and it just made it so beautiful. I actually had a chance to go to meet the Imagineer that did that while we were on the ship, and he was talking about how when he was in Epcot and he was going on the Donald, what is that ship? That little ride?
The three,
Yeah, Three Amigos. Yeah. And there was some paper, those beautiful paper works. I don't know what they're called. Uh, they're punched out paper. And anyway, they hang them in Mexico during Day of the Dead and during any kind of festivals or anything like that. He saw that and he thought, oh my gosh, we need to really take this whole theming here and bring it on board the ship. And so he talked to everybody and they got it all going. And it was just really beautiful. For example, like the dining room doesn't have round walls. It has walls as if you're like in a plaza. And it's little lights. Do you remember that? The little lights
yeah,
along the walls. And then we had a great table because we had an amazing server who got us a great table. That was really nice. But what I really loved the most was the food. And I'm a Texan, and so I thought, I'm not going to like this food. It's going to be traditional Mexican, not a little Tex-Mex, which is what I'm used to. But it was really delicious. I had the chicken chipotle enchiladas, and it had this amazing red little light, not a deep ancho sauce, but like a light one, and it was fantastic. And then I had the black beans with the tamale, really good. The salsa on the table was so good. Do you remember how many bowls we went through?
yeah.
I finally
Extra,
said, "Give
extra.
everybody a bowl of salsa." It was just really outstanding. It really was. Um, and so now I understand why there's not a 3 and a 4 night treasure, because it's a 2 night dining experience that you really need to experience. And they couldn't have done that. So now I get why it's a 7 night. Anyway, that's enough about that restaurant, but I loved it.
No, I think we could go on and on about that restaurant because it definitely is one of my favorite experiences on all of the ships as far as dining and the show, the entire experience. It was outstanding. It was phenomenal. And I agree with you about the food. And the enchiladas were, I believe it was an appetizer. Um, so consider ordering extra and making it, well,
Mm.
you can order multiples of things too. So but that was probably one of my favorite things on the ship. That was phenomenal. But the show was incredible there. So I
There's
agree
2
with you.
shows. Like, there's, 2 shows, 2 different nights. So, we were able to see 1 show when we were there, and then I got to see both nights of shows when I sailed with my family, and they were both outstanding and beautiful, and we'll post photos and some videos of the shows, so everyone can see. We were lucky, and we got a table by the stage on our cruise as well, so both times I had an excellent seat, and there's some tricks on how to get those that a good travel advisor can help you with. So,
Definitely.
like Like Plaza de Coco, Worlds of Marble also has two separate shows. So one night the show is the same as the show offered on the Wish for those of you who sat on the Wish, but then the second night is kind of a more laid back show that features a lot of cool 80s rock, and it has Groot and Guardians of the Galaxy involved there. And then on the at 1923, a lot of people get dressed up in 1920s clothing. Charity and I did on a preview cruise, and then on our New Year's Eve cruise, tons of people were dressed up as well. It's really fun. You don't have to get dressed up, of course, but it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a fun experience. I love the art in 1923 too. So just when you go to dine there, take a look around, just at what's around you. There's so many pieces of original Disney art in the restaurant, even out in the atrium and such too. But they'll point it out. But don't miss what's around you. It's really special.
Definitely. It's like a little museum, and it's
Mhm.
different artwork than the 1923 on the Wish.
Yes,
So
yeah.
some extra stuff to see. I was able to enjoy breakfast in 1923 on some of our sea days on my New Year's Eve cruise, and it's outstanding. It's laid back and quiet, and you can have more time to see all of the artwork. So, you don't have a special time for breakfast. You can walk in anytime. There's no charge for breakfast at 1923. It can be hard to get there on port days, but
Yeah.
definitely on your sea days, make sure you experience breakfast there at least once.
I agree.
Beautiful.
It's fantastic. We did it when we were there. It was really good.
And then you can eat lunch in one of the main dining rooms every day as well. But a lot of people like to eat lunch on the pool deck. And so, pool deck food on the Wish class ships is great. So, there's Mickey's Festival of Foods that has Mexican food and barbecue. What are your guys' favorite places for lunch on the pool deck?
So I love the barbecue. I think everything there is fantastic, and even all the sides, the brisket. But my favorite, and it is definitely not just your normal, like Moe's or Chipotle or that type of thing, but it's Donald's Cantina. There is something about how they make their food, everything they offer there, all of the salsas, all of the sauces. It is so delicious. I mean, I think about it often. I know that's silly, but I think about all that food from Donald's Cantina. So I have to say that's probably my favorite. And so I love the Wish, and I love that they have that on the Treasure. It is delicious.
I love Donald's Cantina too. I
Yeah.
get I bring tortilla chips with me because I do Weight Watchers as well. So I bring my baked chips, and I get them to give me a big bowl of black beans, and I get a bowl of guacamole, and I get a little bit of cheese, and then I go and I get that chipotle lime sauce that they make in the big
It is.
container. It's so
Yeah.
good. I get one of those, one of the red chili salsas, and then the hot salsa, and then I take it and make my own little nachos, and I stay within points.
Nice.
And then a way to stay out of points is all of the unlimited soft serve, also available at Mickey's Festival of Foods.
Well,
100%.
you know what I noticed near the soft serve on the Treasure is they actually had in that same area whole fruit. So they had a lot of whole fruit. I think they had a lot of cut fruit. And so Lizzie, you're talking about staying within points, which a lot of people don't think about being healthy on cruises, but a lot of people do try to eat healthy. So they do have healthy options around that you can even grab and go. So I happen to notice that. So health-wise and allergy-wise, there are good, unadulterated options around this ship as well. So,
So we talked about the main dining room and the pool deck food. There is room service available that's included in your cruise fare as well. And we tried it out one day at lunchtime. It was great. But what's more exciting is the adult exclusive dining, and that is available for additional fee. The three of us got to experience brunch together at Palo. What did you guys think?
I think something was going on in the kitchen because when we got off the ship, I don't know if you guys knew, but it was flooded. The ship. I don't know if you guys
yeah.
know that. Something was
Yes.
going on in that kitchen. And so now I look back on it, and that poor guy in the kitchen, like trying to get through everything. Um, so it didn't go as planned. It was delicious still. It was just a very
Yeah.
long time to get our food, which is
Yeah.
very uncommon. I mean, I've never seen it like that. But what was so magic, and this is the Disney magic, our server, Cindy, said, "How was it?" And I said, "Well, we didn't get to eat dessert." And so what did she do? She called right up on the phone and said, "You're having dessert there tonight." And so we went up and had dessert, a private little dessert party, and it was really nice. That's the
That was
Disney
very nice.
difference. You're not going to find that on any other cruise line.
No, we did not ask for that. We didn't expect it.
No.
Nothing about that, but they
And you
just
didn't go to
arranged.
complain, they just asked
Yeah,
we're having a conversation with
exactly.
us, they wanted to make it right, which is so Disney, they always wanna make everything right. I will say Palo redeemed themselves, we had a Palo brunch on my next treasure cruise, and we had the private dining room, it had its own private, veranda as well,
Oh,
it was beautiful, and, the food was great, it was a great experience, and so, if you have a party of at least 10 or more, your travel advisor at Platinum Mouse can help you book the private brunch. It's really wonderful. And that's available for dinner as well, the private dining room. Um, we didn't get to eat at Enchante. That is the adult French restaurant on board. But I was able to take a tour of it, and I have videos of it posted online. And it has a very elegant Beauty and the Beast theme. There's little nods to Beauty and the Beast throughout, and Lumiere is your host at Enchante.
so fun.
And the reviews of the food have been great. Have you ever dined at Enchante?
I have not.
Have you, Lizzie?
I'm
What
not I'm
did you
not a big
think?
fan. But I'm not high-end French cuisine either.
I was gonna say
I'm just not.
we've not chosen to eat there.
Yeah.
That's just not
Yeah,
necessarily our taste.
we're vegetarian, so I haven't tried there.
I really wanted to do that. Remember that 12-course dessert that they
Yes.
offered? They
I've
were
done that at
awesome.
Remy,
I would
and that
love
was
to do
excellent.
that. I would love, love, love to do that.
Really fun.
Before we move on from food, I just want to mention that none of the three of us ourselves have food allergies, but we did travel with someone with food allergies. And so, just how well they took care of it and handled it on the ship, just as we expected with all of the other ships at all of the main dining, at Palo Brunch, at the Festival of Foods, at breakfast. Everything that we expected, food allergy wise, was on point on the Treasure, even for very early sailing. We did not experience any hiccups food allergy wise, correct?
No, no, we didn't, but I wanted to I'm so glad you touched on this. Charlotte wanted me to mention something. Charlotte's my daughter,
Okay.
in case if some of you don't know. She's the whole reason why I got into this whole industry. Um, she was doing OIT, and so she had her scale, and she had her cashews, and she had her little cups that she put them in to measure it. But when the ship is moving, the scale couldn't regulate, and she had the hardest time. So what she did is she took a little this time because she's done it so many times OIT at sea. She took little plastic baggies and she would pre-measure them after we got on the ship because I mean,
Okay.
honestly, it it looks like paraphernalia. If it you'd see like little tiny cashews in a little tiny little plastic bag. So she's like, "Mom, I got to be really careful with this." I said, "I know." So we went on. She did everything when we first got on the ship and measured all of her days out, put them in a drawer so they didn't look like they were trash or anything. It made it so much easier. But even when you're at sea and you're at port, the boat is still moving. So she had a difficult time. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that.
Okay. Thank
No,
you.
that's good to know. And when I traveled with my friends and family, on New Year's Eve, we had, a wheat allergic child with us, and everything went really well, both on the island and on the ship.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
And they had some really good bread for her because sometimes the bread isn't that good when it's wheat free, but she liked it.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. So we talked about food, and next we're going to talk about staterooms and accommodations. So, in addition to staying in a stateroom together, we also got to tour a lot of staterooms on the Treasure. So what did you think of our stateroom, Charity?
Yeah, so we're used to staying in the same type of stateroom that we stayed in on the Treasure, so which was the deluxe family ocean view veranda. Um, but what I did notice about this was just the aesthetics of it was a bit different. It had like a really light, elegant feel to it. Our theme was Pocahontas, and the artwork in it was beautiful. It was just that was the one thing that struck me when we first went in. So it had a little bit like a really light feel to it and very elegant. I noticed that this one maybe had at least our room, maybe not all the rooms, but our rooms had some extra storage compared to the Wish. Like we had a little bit of extra closet space next to the Murphy bed, but we all unpacked and had plenty of even extra space in there. So there was a lot of storage in there, but our stateroom was just beautiful and plenty of room for all of us. I love the split bathrooms in those rooms. So you have the a toilet and a sink, and then a separate shower, and it had a glass door in it. And sink in the other bathroom, two closets and such. So I really liked our stateroom. It was very spacious and accommodating for all of us.
And on our preview cruise, we got to tour multiple stateroom types. So we saw ocean view staterooms and inside staterooms, but the most fun things to tour were the concierge staterooms and suites. Um, One thing that I know Charity and I noticed was the beautiful mosaics in all of the bathrooms in the concierge staterooms and suites. We'll post some photos of those on our pages, but they were beautiful. So we
They
got
were
to tour
spectacular, yeah.
funnel suite, the royal suite, one bedroom and two bedroom concierge suites, and um, they're all fabulous. And we'll post videos and photos of them for you. Do you have any comments on the staterooms or suites, Lizzie?
No, they're beautiful. I didn't take the tour like you guys did. I had to take care of two business things. One was the Plaza de Coco, but they're absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to do a whole segment, I think, on Disney Cruise Line and concierge versus in a regular stateroom. Maybe talk
Mhm.
about the different itineraries so we can deep dive into that on a whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about with concierge. It's and you've sailed it several times, Kelly, so you know firsthand. I only really know about concierge through all my clients. I think I probably book about 20 or 30 of them a year.
It's a great product, but warning, it can be addictive. Really hard to go back. The service on Disney Cruise Line is outstanding, no matter what kind of stateroom you sail in. But the concierge service is just
And in
mind blowing.
news, Latroy is back on, not back, he just got onto the treasure and he's in the concierge. So if you have anyone,
Oh.
Latroy, that's where he is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. He's so wonderful. Anyway, um, Kelly, what else did you want to talk about? Did you want to talk about entertainment?
Yeah. So um, every Disney Cruise Line ship has three main musicals that will be offered in the Walt Disney Theater. It'll be offered at least twice a day. So the people who have early dining will go to the late show after their meal, and people who have late dining will go to the early show before their meal. But for the really popular musicals, they often have a matinee as well, which is nice for little ones. There's three musicals on this ship. There's Disney Sees the Adventure. It's kind of a short introduction musical. It's a jukebox style show with just lots of popular songs. And my favorite from that is Tiana. It's when she sings at the end of Sees the Adventure, which is great. There's Disney's Beauty and the Beast, which is an outstanding musical. It's one of the only musicals at sea that have won awards, and that's also featured on the Disney Dream. But the new musical for the Treasure is now my new favorite musical. It's Disney: The Tale of Moana, and um, it was outstanding. The quality was amazing. The performers were amazing. Like the main actress, she is Moana. Like she looks like Moana. Her voice is beautiful. So even if you're not a big musical or show person, I can't emphasize to you enough that you should definitely see this. Charity watched it with me, and I think she feels the same way I do. What do you
Oh,
think?
I was blown away. It is by far my favorite musical on all of Disney Cruise Line and probably one of my favorite shows. I want to like I will maybe branch out and say ever. And we've gone to a lot of shows. We have family in New York. My daughter was a competitive dancer and she like would go for classes and training, and so we've been to a lot of shows in New York too. But I have to say, I mean the quality, the production, just how they brought this to life on stage. I know not everyone will agree, not everyone like shows and that type of thing, but I loved it. I loved it so much, and I know Kelly felt the same way. It was spectacular, even from how they started it. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but just how they started the show, and like you said, the actors and performers, how they brought it to life, and they were phenomenal. The special effects, yeah, it was really
And then
great.
the secret is out. So when
Okay.
we sailed on the preview cruise, it wasn't at full capacity. New Year's Eve cruise was obviously full, and people know. So people started to line up to get seats about an hour before the show started.
And that is not normally the case.
That is not normally the case. If you're sailing concierge, that you'll have an opportunity to sit down before anyone else does. We got in line probably about 45 minutes before our s- our uh, our show time, and we
Wow.
got good seats, but we were farther back than we had anticipated we would be. So if you're interested in seeing Moana and you care about what kind of seat you have, definitely get there a little bit early. That's not usually necessary with other musicals,
Yeah.
and maybe as the popularity dies down, it might not be the same, but just something to keep in mind so that you're not disappointed when you show up.
Well, we were super fortunate too because there were just the two of us when we went in, and you were like, "Well, let's just see how close we can get." And we kind of thought maybe seats, what, we were in the second row, and you thought maybe they were taken or saved, and we kind of weaseled our way in
Yeah, we had
last
great.
minute.
Yeah.
So,
And then in addition to the main stage shows that are performed by Disney, in the Walt Disney Theater on other nights, they have guest performers in. So magicians and dancers. It's different every time. Um, But something new to the Treasure are there's an actor and an actress. They're named Coriander and Sage, and they perform throughout the ship. So one nice thing about the Treasure is they utilize that stage in the Grand Hall a lot more than they do on the Wish. So Coriander and Sage did a performance of Aladdin where they played every character in Aladdin. It was really fun to watch. They hosted Match Your Matey that the three of us saw on the
that was
preview
very
cruise.
funny.
There's a program called Choosing Wisely. That's for adults only, and it is a choose your own adventure style performance of Indiana Jones that they do in the Sarabi Lounge. That was really fun. And then they have a Jungle Cruise themed game show, which I didn't get to see. But everything they do is very high energy, and they are outstanding. When they go on vacation, I whoever replaces them has big shoes to fill because they were great. Any other entertainment stuff that you think that we should mention?
Um, One thing I wanted to mention was Kelly and I had the opportunity to do the Art of the Ship tour,
It was Imagineering on this one.
Imagineering on
It's
this
like
one.
Art of the Theme on the
Yeah,
classic.
so look for those in the on the ship schedule. So if you have the opportunity to do a tour like that, that was really interesting. Um, and we might be able to post some pictures and some information on that. But I love the ship tours that talk about the Imagineering, and just to on this particular ship, one thing that we talked about first impressions, but one thing I noticed about this ship is just that, and you get a better appreciation for this on the tours too, but just every detail is thought out. Um, just thought has been put into every single aspect of the ship, and you just get a greater appreciation for that. And then everywhere you look, you just realize how much thought was put into everything, like every piece of art, every light fixture, every piece of carpet, everything on the ship, just, so much thought was put into it. And so it's just a really neat thing to do.
You know,
If you wanna do it, you can find it under onboard fun in the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app, but not until you get on the ship. So at home onboard
Yeah.
fun, you can book things like drink tastings, but the Imagineering tour isn't available there. When you get on the ship, for the Wish and the Treasure, you can book the Imagineering tour under onboard fun. On the classic ships, there's a similar tour called Art of the Theme Show, and that one is just on the schedule and you just show up. All of these tours are unfortunately only for adults, but they're really cool, and I think they're very repeatable because each cast member kind of points out different things and has different things they know about and tell you the history of. So I think it's something you can do every time you cruise.
fantastic. The one thing I have to say, the one negative thing about the treasure and the wish that I personally find, and I know this resonates with other people as well, is that they don't have that adult only section of the bars where on the other ships, kids can't go there like after I believe it's like 8 o'clock. You don't see any little kids. they have the bars all scattered out on the Wish and on the Treasure, and I kind of really miss that. That's the only thing, if I had to nitpick about it, would be that, because not everybody wants to drink around little kids, and a lot of these grandparents take their families on vacation, and they want a break and they want to be with adults. And so I really kind of miss that, and I hope they bring that back on the new ships.
Yeah. But
Talking
now
about
that we're
bars.
but the bars are awesome, right? So speaking of that,
Yeah.
there's the Scat Cat Lounge, the Rose, Skipper Society, Haunted Mansion Parlor. Which one of those was your favorite?
I liked the Scat Cat Lounge, because the theming was so light. I don't know if you caught all the little cats in the hand-painted wallpaper, but it's beautiful. The little glass that you told me about that we got to drink, and it had the little cat in the bottom of it, kinda looks like a Lalique glass because it's frosted. I loved that, and that drink was amazing. Um, I also like the Haunted Mansion bar. I think the Haunted Mansion bar is gonna be best, when most everybody goes to sleep, so, like, late at night or early first thing when it opens up. And I believe it opens up at around 4, if I'm not incorrect.
Some of the days it open at 11 on my, regular
That's
sailing,
good,
so it
because
gets
I
in
would
pretty
do that.
early.
I would do early or super late, and that's how I got that video, is because Charlotte and I, the very first night that we all boarded, Charlotte and I stayed up till it closed. I knew everybody would be exhausted from, getting there, getting on the ship, unpacking, having dinner, and traveling from, gosh, all over the place. So we just stayed up and waited until the last 2 ladies at the bar were leaving, and so we got that little video. But, that's what I would suggest, especially with that bar, because that bar is super popular.
Yeah,
Was it
it's so rightly so, it's so well themed.
Yeah,
I think they did a much better job with the Haunted Mansion Parlor than they did with the Star Wars themed space of For the Wish.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Um,
themed so well. My favorite, was the Scat Cat Lounge, just, the vibe of it, the feel of it, the music, and I also like so a couple of times we frequented that a couple of times, we were inside and then, it's okay. And then the one time when we found ourselves out at the, part that so the Scat Cat was a little bit different than how that bar was on the Wish because it opened to the grand atrium, and so that was actually nice that the one night, we were out in that, bar area that actually was out in the grand hall. So that was really nice too. That was kind of a nice feel because then people passing by were stopping and joining us and such too. So I did like that about Scat Cat as well.
I also really enjoyed the Rose. When I sailed with my friends and family, we went there about 3 nights, and so the Rose is an adult-only bar, and it's between Palo and Enchante, so you don't have to be dining at Palo or Enchante to go to the Rose bar. Anyone can, and, all of the guys who are traveling with us loved the old-fashioned that was specific to the Rose bar, so that's why we kept going there. But it's a beautiful spot. You don't have to be dressed up, but just be aware that there is a dress code for Enchante and Palo. So people usually are looking their best when they stop up at the Rose. And a great tip there is a sommelier bin at the Rose. And I think it's a flat $13. And you can pick red, white, or bubbles. And bottles of really expensive wine that people had opened to order a glass of, they need to get rid of them while they're still good. So you get to have a surprise drink of something that would usually cost much more money. So we've gotten some really cool drinks from the sommelier bin at the Rose.
Well, that's a
Nice.
fantastic tip, Kelly. That really is. The one other thing is, if you are going on the Treasure, and you go to the Scat Cat Lounge, they don't allow children in there, but you need to ask for Kelvin. He's an amazing server. He was on the Wish. He'll just make it magic. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
He's great. All right. So, what's your overall impression of the Treasure versus the Wish? We talked about a lot of it, and any tips you have for guests who are going to be sailing on the Treasure soon?
My overall impression was gosh, all the ships have pros and cons, and I say the best ship is the ship that you're on, or the ship that fits your dates that you can go, whether it's a 3 night, 5 night, 7 night, 16 night. But I have to say it was probably one of my favorite just because of the immersive experience. Like I think of the dream and the fantasy as far as just being very elegant ships with Disney touches. And then I think of like the Wish as being more Disney princesses. But for me, if you're a Disney fan or a Disney lover, it just had much more of an immersive feel as far as how they bring those things to life. As far as like the park themings coming onto the ship. And that's what made it so fun. So not only was it just when we walked on the ship being like, just take your breath away how beautiful it was and how immersive it was, as far as maybe feeling like you were taken into that adventure or the palace, or like the colors and even the lounge, the areas to lounge around the grand atrium had like the Arabian feel and that type of thing, but just all of the artworks and the mosaics, and then the theming of the bars being, the Skipper Society and the Haunted Mansion and
Periscope, we didn't talk about
the
that.
Periscope Pub. We didn't talk about that.
That was phenomenal.
Just how everything had nods to the parks and to the
And the funnel cake is
experiences that were
Epcot.
so nostalgic and that you love. And so I think for people that you could not love Disney or not be a Disney fan and go on with your family and just have a phenomenal experience, but to me that's what I just loved so much about the Treasure, was just that if you love anything about Disney, it's just going to make you love it that much more. So that was kind of my overall thoughts on the Treasure.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite ship. The one negative I would say is that there is not a full circumference walking track like on deck 4 of the classic ships.
Yeah.
And, on a 3 or 4 night cruise, it might not be that big of a deal, but we like to watch our points and exercise on the ship. So it's nice to have a walking track. So it's kind of a U shape. Um, and you have to kind of walk back and forth.
We
So
did
if you're like
find
someone
though
involved, it can be tricky,
you could go up the stairs, around on deck 5 and back down the stairs.
Yeah.
but it still doesn't go all the way around.
We did figure that, but it's kind of a not
So
great.
if you don't climb the steps, it's a really small U. If you're willing
Yeah.
to go up and down the steps, you can make it a slightly bigger U.
Yeah,
Um,
you're
and
right.
then the adult area is at the very back of the ship, and it's lovely. There's a beautiful Cove Cafe, and it's an infinity pool over the back of the ship. And the space is lovely, and children don't walk through it, which is nice because it's in the back. But it's still smaller, just like on the Wish. So there are things that when they are building their new ships, I think they should take into account.
All right.
Lizzie,
Anybody?
your thoughts?
My thoughts on the Treasure.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was pleasantly surprised. My favorite ships. I love the Wonder. It's my
Mhm.
favorite ship, and then comes the Magic because I like the smaller ships are more intimate. It's almost like going to like a little boutique as compared to going to the Mall of America, which I felt like the Wish was. It was just
Yeah.
huge. And the theming like you had touched on, it's not over the top princess like the Wish is. So I think it's really good, especially if you have a family of little boys. There's just so much, and a family of girls. It will appeal to anybody because of those classic rides. Um, but yeah, I loved it. I loved the food. I just think it wasn't rushed. I think the Wish was rushed. We know it was. And it was coming out of COVID and stuff, so it had a lot of stuff, that they had to deal with. And the Wish is still wonderful. It's great. But anyway, I was pleasantly surprised with the Treasure. I really loved it. I want to go on it again.
I
So do
do
I.
too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've told you everything that we love about the Treasure and Disney Cruise Line, if you're as excited as we are and you want to look more into this, sailing the Treasure or any of the other ships, please contact us or your favorite Platinum Mouse travel agent. You can reach any of us at our first name. So Charity, Lizzie, or Kelly at platinummouse.com, and we can help you more. Our help is always free when you book through us, and you'll receive that one-on-one attention and complimentary food allergy consultation, and we'll make those arrangements for you. So we'd love to help you. And stay tuned for our next episode. We're just going to dive deeper into everything allergy and travel related. So we look forward to seeing you then. See you real soon.
See you real soon.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And please join the Disney Food Allergy Magic Group on Facebook.
This podcast is not intended to provide any individual medical advice to our listeners. We do hope that our conversations provide evidence-based information and help you prepare for allergy-safe travel. Any questions pertaining to one's own health should always be discussed with their personal physician.